Men, what I'm about to tell you could shatter your illusions forever. I'm a woman, and I know exactly what we say when we're cheating. If your woman uses these 4 phrases, she's already gone. And the most terrifying part? Most men take them at face value, never realizing these are actually codes for infidelity. The signs were there all along, but you missed them because you trusted her words instead of reading between the lines. What you're about to discover will change how you interpret every conversation with your partner for the rest of your life. Before I reveal these painful truths that could save your relationship or your sanity, hit that like button right now. It helps other men protect themselves from the heartbreak you might be experiencing. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because what you're about to learn isn't taught in relationship books or therapy sessions. This is raw, unfiltered female psychology from someone who's been on the inside. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. Let's see where men are most ready to face the brutal truth about what women really mean when they say these seemingly innocent phrases. What I'm going to share next is based on confessions from hundreds of women who've cheated, including insights from relationship psychologists who've studied infidelity patterns for decades. Some of these phrases your woman has probably already said to you, maybe even this week. Stay until the end because the 4th phrase is the most dangerous. It sounds like she genuinely cares about your personal growth, but it's actually her strategically clearing the path for another man to enter her life while you're conveniently distracted. Phrase 1, I think we've grown into different people. This phrase is classic psychological projection wrapped in philosophical clothing. She's creating an intellectual justification for emotional withdrawal that's already happened. What this really means is, I'm already emotionally and possibly physically attached to someone else, and now I'm desperately searching for logical reasons to justify my actions without admitting the truth. When a woman says this, she's not describing natural relationship evolution that happens over years. She's describing her internal conflict between guilt and desire that's happening right now. The human brain demands narrative coherence, especially when we're doing something that fundamentally conflicts with our stated values and commitments. So instead of admitting she's fallen for another man, she reframes the entire situation as inevitable personal growth that neither of you could have prevented. Neuroscience research from Dr. Helen Fisher shows us that when someone becomes emotionally invested in a new person, their brain literally rewires its reward pathways. The same behaviors, traits, and quirks that once attracted her to you now feel foreign, annoying, or incompatible. It's not that you've actually changed as a person, it's that her perception filter has fundamentally shifted because her emotional energy and dopamine responses are now directed towards someone else. This phrase also serves a crucial psychological function. It absolves her of responsibility. By framing the relationship's deterioration as mutual growth in different directions, she avoids confronting the reality that she's actively choosing to invest in someone else. It transforms betrayal into evolution, making her feel like a mature person, making difficult but necessary life choices, rather than someone breaking sacred promises. What's really happening? When a woman falls for someone else, she needs to emotionally distance herself from you to reduce cognitive dissonance. This phrase helps her reduce guilt by presenting infidelity as a natural evolution of the relationship rather than a conscious betrayal. She's essentially telling herself and you that this isn't treachery, it's growth. But genuine growth doesn't require secrecy, and authentic personal development doesn't happen overnight in ways that conveniently justify abandoning commitments. If you've already heard the first phrase, brace yourself, because what's coming next will make your blood run cold. The next 3 phrases are even more insidious because they masquerade as logic, care, and even selflessness. These aren't just excuses, they're sophisticated psychological manipulation tactics designed to make you complicit in your own deception while making her feel like she's being reasonable and considerate. Phrase 2, I've been so busy I barely have time for myself. This is preemptive alibi construction, disguised as vulnerable self-disclosure. She's building a comprehensive image of an overwhelmed, extremely busy person to explain sudden disappearances, emotional unavailability, and mysterious schedule changes. From a behavioral psychology perspective, this is what manipulation experts call cognitive load management. She's overwhelming you with so much detailed information about her supposed busyness that you stop questioning the specifics and start empathizing with her plight. The psychological brilliance of this manipulation lies in its universal relatability. Everyone in modern society understands being overwhelmed. Everyone has experienced crushing schedules and impossible demands. So when she uses this excuse, your natural human response is to empathize rather than investigate. You become her unwitting co-conspirator by accepting her narrative without verification, and you even start feeling guilty for wanting more of her time and attention. Dr. Robert Cialdini's research on influence shows us that this phrase also serves another crucial psychological function. It conditions you to expect less from the relationship while she secretly invests more energy elsewhere. It's a form of gradual conditioning that slowly lowers your standards and expectations without you realizing it's happening. You start accepting decreased intimacy, less communication, and reduced quality time as normal consequences of her busy life rather than warning signs of emotional infidelity. The phrase creates what psychologists call learned helplessness in relationships. You stop asking for what you need because you've been trained to believe that wanting her time and attention makes you selfish and inconsiderate. Meanwhile, she's using this artificial busyness to create space for someone else while making you feel bad for noticing the distance. What's really happening? Research from the Journal of Marriage and Family shows that unfaithful women consistently use work and fabricated obligations as primary cover for meeting their lovers. They create elaborate false narratives of overwhelming busyness so you don't ask probing questions about their time. But notice the psychological contradiction. If she barely has time for herself, how does she suddenly have energy for late-night texting, new clothes, mysterious phone calls, or that inexplicable glow that comes with new romance excitement? The third phrase is particularly devastating because it weaponizes your trust in her friendships and your respect for female solidarity. Many good men fall completely for this trap because questioning it seems impossible without looking paranoid, controlling, or like you don't trust her judgment. But there's a specific psychological pattern here that once you recognize it, you'll never miss it again. Phrase 3. I promised I'd help a friend tonight. Psychological. Using friendship as cover for infidelity is a stroke of psychological genius that exploits multiple cognitive biases simultaneously. You can't verify it without appearing paranoid and controlling, and you seem like a terrible partner if you prevent her from helping friends in need. This manipulation works because it exploits your moral framework and social conditioning. Good people help their friends, and supportive partners encourage that help without question. From a social psychology standpoint, this excuse is devastatingly effective because it leverages what researchers call social proof and authority bias. The idea that her friend needs help feels inherently legitimate because we all have friends who sometimes require assistance. But women engaged in emotional or physical affairs often systematically exploit this normal social dynamic to create believable, unverifiable cover stories that make questioning them seem unreasonable. The psychological sophistication here is truly remarkable. She's not just lying about her destination. She's making you feel morally deficient for even questioning it. She's transforming your natural, biologically programmed suspicion into self-doubt about your own character and worthiness as a partner. The manipulation forces you to ask yourself, am I the kind of selfish, controlling man who prevents his woman from helping a friend in genuine need? Dr. John Gottman's research on relationship dynamics shows that this manipulation also creates what he calls emotional flooding. You experience so much guilt and self-doubt about your suspicions that you stop trusting your own instincts. Your intuition screams that something is wrong, but your logical mind tells you that questioning friendship makes you a bad person. What's really happening? Clinical research indicates that in the majority of documented infidelity cases, the mysterious friend either doesn't exist at all or is an active accomplice covering for the lover. Psychologically, this manipulation works because it appeals to female solidarity and social support networks that men are conditioned to respect. But pay attention to patterns. These friend emergencies always seem to happen at strategically convenient times. Evenings when you'd normally be together, weekends when you've made plans, or during periods when you've been questioning her behavior. And here's the fourth phrase, the most psychologically sophisticated and dangerous of all. It sounds like she genuinely cares about your personal development and wants you to become the best version of yourself. But what she's actually doing is strategically removing you from her path while making you grateful for the manipulation. This one is so expertly crafted that even experienced relationship therapists sometimes miss its true purpose. Phrase 4, you should focus more on your own hobbies. Psychological deep dive. This represents masterful psychological manipulation disguised as genuine care for your personal development and individual growth. The singular goal is attention redirection. Distract your focus from her behavior while creating substantial blocks of free time for infidelity. From manipulation psychology research, this is what experts classify as benevolent control. Controlling someone's behavior while making them feel grateful for the guidance and support. The psychological sophistication here is absolutely staggering. She's not just requesting space or asking for independence, she's systematically programming you to actively want space from her. She's making you an enthusiastic participant in creating the perfect conditions for her betrayal. You think you're growing as an individual and becoming more interesting while she's growing intimately closer to someone else during your absence. This phrase also functions as sophisticated emotional insurance for future confrontations. If you later discover her infidelity, she can claim she was actively encouraging your independence and personal growth. She can expertly reframe her cheating as evidence that you are too clingy, dependent, or lacking in individual interests. She's essentially creating a detailed narrative where her betrayal becomes your psychological fault for being too needy or not having enough personal hobbies. Behavioral psychology research tells us that when someone suddenly starts enthusiastically encouraging behaviors they previously showed no interest in or even discouraged, they're almost always serving their own hidden agenda. If she never cared about your golf game, woodworking, or guys' nights before, why the sudden passionate enthusiasm? Because your predictable absence serves her secret plans perfectly. Dr. Robert Hare's research on manipulation tactics shows that this phrase creates what he calls cognitive restructuring. You start believing that wanting to spend time with your partner indicates personal weakness or codependency rather than normal relationship bonding. You begin to see your natural desire for intimacy and connection as character flaws that need correction rather than fundamental human needs that should be met within your relationship. What's really happening? Clinical psychologists call this sophisticated technique attention redirection with positive reinforcement. She's systematically programming you to be less attentive to her behavioral changes while creating perfect, guilt-free conditions for infidelity. She's giving you explicit permission to be absent, so you won't notice or question that she's absent too. It's psychological genius disguised as relationship wisdom and personal development advice. Each of these 4 phrases represents a massive red flag that cannot and should not be ignored or rationalized away. Trust is absolutely important in relationships, but willful blindness in the face of obvious warning signs is psychologically destructive and emotionally devastating. The woman who genuinely loves and respects you doesn't need elaborate explanations for simple actions. She doesn't need to systematically manage your attention or strategically redirect your focus away from her behavior. Real love is characterized by transparency, not sophisticated psychological manipulation. Authentic commitment involves creating more intimacy and connection, not carefully constructed distance and alibis. Understanding these manipulation patterns isn't about becoming chronically suspicious of every woman you meet or turning into a paranoid partner who questions everything. It's about recognizing when someone is actively working against your relationship's best interests while pretending to work for them. It's about trusting your instincts when something feels fundamentally wrong, even when the explanations sound perfectly reasonable and logical. When you truly love someone, you invite them deeper into your life, not strategically remove them from it. You create opportunities for connection, not excuses for separation. You build trust through consistency and transparency, not through elaborate storytelling and explanation management. If your woman is systematically using all four of these phrases simultaneously, infidelity isn't just statistically probable, it's already actively happening in your relationship. But there are concrete ways to verify these suspicions, and there are proven strategies to address the situation effectively. The critical question you must answer honestly is, are you ready to face the potentially devastating truth, or will you continue accepting increasingly elaborate explanations that don't add up mathematically or logically? Write in the comments a number from 1 to 4, indicating which of these phrases you've heard from your woman, and be honest about how recently you heard it. Include your city, because I want to see the global geography of relationship deception. If this video opened your eyes to manipulation you didn't recognize before, smash that like button and subscribe immediately. There are many more painful but necessary truths about female psychology and relationship dynamics coming your way. Don't allow yourself to become the man who ignores obvious warning signs because he doesn't want to appear paranoid or controlling. Don't be the man who accepts increasingly elaborate explanations for increasingly simple behaviors. Your intuition and gut feelings are usually accurate, but your hope and desire for everything to be okay often silences that inner voice of wisdom. Share this video with other men who need to hear these truths. Too many good men are being systematically deceived while convincing themselves that their suspicions make them bad partners. Knowledge shared is protection multiplied. Remember this fundamental truth: painful reality is infinitely better than comfortable lies that slowly destroy your self-respect and sanity. Stay vigilant, men. The woman who truly loves you won't need to manage your perception of her character. She won't need to create systematic distance to find herself, and she certainly won't need to redirect your attention to hide her actions. Until next time, trust your instincts and protect your peace of mind above all else.